I'm going to play that song.
Who was it? If I had to.
Morning, Mike.
Was it a woman or a man?
Mike, it's official. You're good to go.
I don't remember getting it. Maybe I did, but I didn't. I may have missed it. If you did.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. Morning, everybody. We'll call a meeting to order at 9 a.m. Roll call, please, Becky.
Mike Copine,
Here.
John Nicholson, Marilyn Shippert,
Yes.
Keen Hudson,
Present.
Jack Scrogstad,
Here.
Mike Seaman.
Okay, for everybody that has cell phones, if you'd kindly mute them or turn them off, I would appreciate it so we don't have any interruptions. Bear with me, I'm looking at 3 different screens here, which is definitely multitasking for me. Okay, has everybody had a chance to read the meeting minutes from last month? And if so, are there any corrections or additions that need to be made? If not, they'll stand approved as read. And have you had a chance to look over the claim sheet? That's all right, Becky. I'm chasing the screen here. Any questions or anything on the paperwork for the claims? Okay. For any of the department heads that are out here, anything?
No, thank you.
Kevin, anything? This okay. Sheriff?
Whatever's on the agenda when it comes to it.
Okay, we can handle that. What's she doing up there? She should be down here. I'm sorry, Stacy, I didn't see you. Go ahead. You have anything?
It was raining just a little bit, so I thought I'd play it safe and not come
Yeah.
across the
Don't
street.
let it get the hairdo mixed up. No.
Right, right. I just wanted to let you all know that we have a Veterans Treatment Court graduation set for Tuesday of next week. That will be at 4 o'clock with Judge Teresa Friel Draper. I'd be very delighted if anybody could make it. Also, we have another drug court graduation, which is set for the following day, also at 4 o'clock. That will be on Wednesday. Again, that's with Judge Eckert. If anybody could make it, that would be great. It would be nice to have some representation from the board members.
What time was the one on Wednesday, Tracy? I'm sorry.
4 o'clock, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Mr. Boonstra? Wendy?
Just one quick thing for the board members or all of those in attendance today. As you noticed last month, we reorganized this room layout as a test. I've been getting some one-on-one feedback on whether it works or whether it doesn't work, whether we have some other ideas. I am getting some other ideas on how to mix this up. I am soliciting your feedback. Doesn't have to be today during the meeting, but outside of the meeting, if you want to let me know. Couple challenges are that we were trying to, of course, for Zoom, trying to get members facing the camera. That's why we faced everybody this way. I do understand that many of you, especially when you sit in the front row here, you have to spin around and see who's behind you, and that is causing some concern on the part of some of the board members. The other thing we were trying to accomplish here is to end up with this space up here in front of the banister to be useful for multiple types of meetings, not just committee meetings, but zoning board meetings, and then ultimately the full county board meeting. So we're trying to lay this room out in such a way that's conducive for all meetings where we don't have to keep moving furniture because there's a lot of staff time that was being spent over the last year moving furniture around for the different settings. So this was our attempt, our test at that, but I am soliciting feedback. So I'll look forward to hearing from you about what you think works or doesn't work. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of any of the department heads? Okay. start under old business. Sheriff, you want to comment on the end of the year?
Yeah, I've got the binder here for you.
You're always talking about the budget, so.
So in there, you'll see the tabs for the various divisions. I have a summary at the very beginning, so that's kind of an easy thing to just take a look at, and it highlights what the divisions are doing. We actually, it's interesting looking at the last couple of years of the end of the year report, especially considering the pandemic. And we saw it the first year that I think the deputies might have been easing up on the public a little bit considering what was going on, and our activity was a little bit lower. The warnings were quite a bit higher. And but this past year, activities been brought back up again, and you'll see that in several categories. Not only the traffic from the speeding and distracted driving for sure, which are primary causes of generally all the accidents in the county. The drug activity has gone up, and certainly from the investigative side, the sex crimes have not gone down. We're still investigating quite a few with the assistance State's Attorney's Office. And so just take a look at that when you got time. In the summary, I include not only what has happened in 2021, but also some future projections to take a look at. And certainly I'll share that with the next sheriff as well.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Anybody have any questions of the sheriff? Okay, moving on. Mr. Lally? 7 computers. Wendy, are we up to snuff on that now? We can move with that.
Yes, I appreciate Kevin last month holding off for a month with his request until I could delve into it. To be honest, what I've shared with Kevin is I don't know any more today than I knew 2 months ago when I asked Kevin to hold off. So he's moving forward with his request. The issue that I had, or the concern I should say that I had, is that I was getting conflicting information about whether Windows 7's computers were truly a security risk on our network or not. I still don't have a good answer. I've got people on both sides of that equation. So with that said, I'll turn it back to Kevin for his request.
Some of those computers we're in dire need of, especially the 5 that go in the trailer. They've been removed, and we did have a response for a lost person. So we did not have those computers to use. So at least I'd like to go through with about half of those. If it's not feasible to go through with 100%, I'd like to go through with at least half of those.
So we've had one strike on us already, and we're in the middle of everything that's around us to. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And that's, again, that hinges back on if Windows 7 is allowed or not allowed on the network, and we can't seem to get that answer. So I'd rather be on the safe side, purchase those computers with Windows 10 and make sure that we're operational.
Well, if they can be made operational with where they're at right now, I'm in favor of moving forward. We're gambling right now with the weather that we have coming at us and surrounding us. We're going to be reactive more than post-active. So
again, I was questioned why this was not brought up during my budget, and I was unaware at my budget time that Windows 7 was not allowed on the network. So
we still.
Just to clarify, the conflict here is that IT Director Paul Gorski has informed Kevin, and yes, it was after his budget was put together, that the Windows 7 computers have to be taken off the network because they are a security risk. But our new IT infrastructure contract that we signed with Syndio, according to that contract, they will support Windows 7 computers. I think the thing to remember about Kevin's is it's not just Windows 7. These are older computers, and I appreciate Kevin's compromise of being willing to, just seek the ones that are critical right now, and then budget for the remaining ones through the budget season next year. But I don't have a good answer for Kevin because I'm in the middle of this conflict.
Well, I'm not in favor of compromising the safety of our people in the county. So should we move forward on a motion on this, Wendy, to pass it on to executive, or just?
It is, just so you know, it is on the finance committee agenda, so it'll go there first. So if you want to make a motion to move it to finance, that'd be great.
389, something like that.
And just to clarify, Kevin, how many did you say, and do you have a cost on that, or?
I did, and it was attached with, there should have been a packet attached that, the proposal.
That was a 17,389, Kevin.
Correct. Sounds about right.
I'll make a motion to pass that to finance.
Motion made by Mr. Nicholson, seconded by Mr. Hudson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. So carried. Move it on to the finance.
Just a quick note on that. Now, this budget was assembled probably over 60 days ago. And you know how the markets are fluctuating, so I understand that you already made a motion. I should have jumped in sooner, but
When you say, sorry, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
when you say budget, you mean this proposal, right?
no, the total was, yes, Mr. Gorski was able to get that total for me probably 70 days ago. So, yeah. So again, you know how the market fluctuates right now. It's not going down.
Go ahead, Marilyn.
Did I hear you're replacing these with Windows 10, or are we going all the way up to Windows 11?
Mr. Gorski only recommends going to 10 right now. He's not comfortable with the stability of Windows 11,
Okay, thank you.
and I need to take his recommendations.
You had funds that were or possibly considered for some of this too, didn't you?
Yeah, there was a reimbursement. My EMPG, Emergency Management Performance Grant, came in at 10,000. Let me look again to be exact.
10,827.50.
Yep. So that money could be used towards that partial purchase of those. So
Okay, well, we'll let finance
just an idea.
pick up on that then. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any more questions of Kevin? Okay, moving on to
Could we back up?
Yes.
Under the regular agenda, item 9 on the UTV. Jack, did you attend the meeting with Torma that the road commissioners had yesterday afternoon?
I was not invited, but didn't know anything about it. I did get a phone call from somebody this morning that sounds like I'm gonna have to make some phone calls for him.
Okay, at Highway, we talked about it on Monday, and I was under the understanding you had been invited.
No,
That's what we thought, too.
Yeah.
I know that our road commissioner came back yesterday night pretty down about the UTV Torma, that all roads affected would have to be a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Is that correct or is that wrong?
that is wrong.
That's what I thought.
But, again, this is where Torma, they're just, I don't want to say in a public forum, but I just need to talk to them one-to-one,
Yeah.
or whoever's representing Torma at this particular moment. So I'll
You
just say
said
that.
at 35, that was solid. You probably lose half the townships.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that was the whole change of it. So
We were informed about that meeting at Highway, and Mike and I were both under the impression that you were invited. So
No, I-
somewhere the ball was dropped.
well, I had properties meeting yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
so-
afternoon, yes.
Oh, this was in the afternoon. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'll get back with this committee, hopefully probably the next month, and I'll have some more information after I have a discussion with the representative of Torma.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up. We kind of skipped past it.
Okay, I'm continuing under new business. Item A, Sheriff, do you want to comment on that as far as the increase in fuel expense and everything?
Yes. So as we all have realized, we're paying a little bit more for gas now, which with our fleet, that certainly negatively affects what I budgeted for, even though I we all kind of anticipated last August during our budget hearings that fuel was already on the rise, but certainly didn't anticipate the above $4 per gallon that we experienced, especially last month. And I have noticed that gas is trickling down just a little bit, but nonetheless, we budgeted anticipating about $3.50 per gallon. So we're going to be way under budget for this year. Matter of fact, looking at the last 3 years, I tried to do an average of how many miles we drive, gallons that we use, cost per gallon, things of that nature. So basically what I'm going to ask finance tomorrow for is an additional 40,000 to get us through the rest of this year. We budgeted for 80. Our bills are coming in very close to 10. Matter of fact, this month was $10,000 and some change. So that's an average, it's going to be $120,000 for the year if we stay on that pace. Now, the good thing is the first couple months this year, it wasn't quite that high. And by virtue of us all going to the WEX card many years ago, we are saving certain taxes on each gallon of gas that we're paying for. So if gas is $4.39 a gallon, we're not paying $4.39 a gallon. So we're getting roughly 9.6 to 9.7% back in rebates based on, I'll call them rebates, but really what they're doing is they're saving on certain taxes on gasoline by using the WEX card. So we are getting a certain amount of savings. So that's advantageous to the county for everybody that's using the WEX card. But nonetheless, I can't predict the future. I don't know where these gas prices are going to go. So I think 40,000 is going to be an amount that we're going to target for tomorrow at finance and see what they have to say.
Okay. Yes, Marilyn?
I realize this is a decision for finance, and I also realize that, it's going to need a budget increase. But do we need to do this now, or can we wait till, let's say, August, or when we got a better idea of what this budget year is going to be? I mean, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying, why are we doing it now?
And that's fine, Marilyn, if that's what they decide tomorrow. I have enough money to get me through probably July,
Okay.
the way it looks right now. And again, that's predicting the gas prices stay somewhat stable. But yeah, I'm not, it's not code red right now, but it will be this summer. And that's when we really put a lot more miles on as well. So,
And I'm not opposed to this. I'm just thinking maybe we can get a better estimate of what you need closer to the end of the year.
Okay, any more questions on the fuel situation? Okay, I'm going to back up. I was moving so fast here. My arrow on the computer was moving faster than my finger. I apologize for that. Mr. Boonstra, anything on the updated collections of fines or anything that's significant?
As you know, I gave an update last month, kind of where we're at. We're having some, I'll say, some issues with the collections agency right now to try to resolve if there's a discrepancy on what they're reporting versus what we actually receive from it. So I don't have a good update for you for this month, but I'd be happy to report that next month.
Okay, appreciate it. Any questions of Mr. Boonstra? Okay, Sheriff, chime in if you'd like to, or Mr. Boonstra. But as far as the abandoned buildings, I think we've got active movement on a house fire that occurred over in Compton with the property sitting vacant and kind of being an eyesore. Mr. Boonstra, you want to brief us on a short update on that one?
Sure. So we've been trucking along, and I hope this microphone's working. I can't tell.
Yeah,
I've
it
been
is.
trucking along in terms of having Mr. Zollinger acting on behalf of the county on at least 3 of the properties. He's given a couple updates. I know that a couple of you have been involved in that, at least through some emails that were received. I think it's going along really well. One of the things I was just bringing up with the sheriff was, I don't know if it's something we want to keep on public safety's agenda moving forward, as it's kind of become its own thing anyway. Just a thought.
Input, Mr. Nicholson?
I just think just an update would be just fine, Charlie.
Okay.
I really think we need to keep it up in the forefront.
I do too, or we'll just lose track of it in
Yeah.
general. And I don't want that to
One
happen.
more thing you gotta do, Charlie, I know that. but,
No, it's not a problem either. I just didn't know if it was,
know where Jim's sitting at this,
Yep.
and it's kind of an attorney situation with a little feedback from the health department, Mr. Queen.
Sure.
But I'd like to keep it on the forefront so we know where we're at on it.
and in terms of correspondence that you're receiving from either the health department or Mr. Zollinger, are you getting sufficient updates or do we need to adjust anything? In terms of email correspondence? or anything?
I haven't seen anything, Charlie, other than what you give us
Okay.
here at the meeting.
I got it. You just sent out like two. didn't you, Charlie?
I think it was maybe forwards from Jennifer
Okay,
Cole.
well, yeah, they're. I've been getting them.
Not that I
No,
need it,
and we really
Charlie, but
haven't.
this is brand new to me. So I haven't been involved, which I may not have to be, and that's fine. If I don't need any more emails, that's fine with me. But if there's something that we need to help address, just you'll let me know. So.
How is he sending those out? Is he sending them by email or?
The correspondence that I've gotten from Tim, and I think there may have been two, I've forwarded along to at least, I think, Mr. Nicholson, if not both of you.
Don't have a mic, I'll get back. I saved that.
Well, let me check my spam folder. That's becoming,
That's where my emails go now, huh?
that's where the most popular portion of my email is the spam section. So I'll check there. If I'm not getting it, I'll let you know. And you know, forward it to me. Mr. Hudson.
Mr. Chairman, the thought about, is there a reason why we cannot kind of like add that to our public safety agenda? It's not like it's got a monthly report, what's going on, but I think the Public Safety Committee, I think we should have more information that us should know what's going on, whether we have to,
Generated.
put any action upon it, but at least we know, because I mean, Charlie and everybody else is involved doing a good job, but we're not all getting that information, so we know what's going on, so we need to come up with some good suggestions, information.
The idea behind the committee, I mean, we met, it's been 2 months till now, but one of the reasons we're meeting, and I want to see it as an agenda item of public safety. But the reason we're not meeting is pretty much, it's a legal issue, and Mr. Boonstra and Tim Zollinger can best handle that and keep us informed as a committee. But we meet, we got to pay per diems. As long as nobody has a question on it, I don't know any reason to actually meet, get a little update monthly on what's going on.
So the other tool that we've got, gentlemen and ladies, is that we have this new tool called Onboard now. And we can put stuff in folders that is restricted to only this committee or whoever you deem should have these updates. And you could go there and check that out. So that's an option too. I'm not trying to defer, having a report here at this committee every month, but just saying if there's a use of that tool, just let Becky or I know.
Like, I have no problem with it going to all the board members. I mean, I'd like to keep.
No,
it
I
on the
don't either.
forefront.
The more informed we keep all the board members, the better off we're going to be. I think they should all know personally.
Just so they know that we're doing something on it, and it's not a just
Well, and
thing. I mean, I want to see it as almost a permanent.
I suggested the restrictions only because I'm not on the emails either. And I'm like, John, I'm good with that. But I don't know whether there's anything in there that would be considered confidential or just shouldn't be out to the general
Should be
public.
public information. I mean, it's not, I don't think there's anything. I don't know.
The filings themselves are all public. What may be in the emails may be attorney-client privilege just because of we're getting them from Tim. So I don't know that I can share those on it. That doesn't mean I can't share updates as he gives them, as long as it's all public knowledge.
So Charlie, I think I would leave it to your discretion as to, do you want to share it here verbally? You tell us. I'm just reminding you the tool is out there. That's all I was trying to do.
We don't want to break any laws because that might jeopardize.
And there's not a whole lot that we can't share. I mean, it's stuff that can easily be shared with the public because it's, Tim following up on who has rights to the property, finding out who has to file against and give notice to. There's nothing that's
Dig deep enough. It's all going to be right there.
correct.
what's everybody's consensus? Which direction would you like to go, I guess is what I'm going to
I
ask.
would favor Wendy's suggestion, putting it in a folder for committee.
I,
Sending us an
Yeah,
email
that-
that, you know. it's
I
there.
think that would work the best. That way we know it's going to be in here and everybody can access it. Oh, you
If
know,
anybody has any questions, I mean, I think we need to make adjustments. And as far as that goes, just maybe.
it's an ongoing thing and I'm sure that there's other board members out there that are going to be asked by the public what's going on with this or what's going on with that. And as long as we keep the information at their, you know, access point, they can get if they don't have the answers, they can go on board and look for some with the properties that we're currently working with. So
The way Wendy had discussed, it maybe just confidential to the public safety.
Or even more confidential than that. I'm going to turn to Charlie to whatever information he wants to provide that he thinks is appropriate to put out there. We're happy to put it into, into the appropriate folder. Where I'm talking about, by the way, is the resource folder. And creating one just for this committee that you can have. And I would throw that out there. Becky's the one that just reminded me this morning, maybe this is a good use of the resource folder. I would throw that out to you for any situation, any committee, any type of documentation that just keep in mind that resource is available.
And again, there's not a whole lot to this that's going to be anything that's confidential. The only stuff that's going to be is just, legal strategy. If there's attorney-client privilege communications, this is what I need to do. This is how much it may cost, that kind of thing in between Tim Zollinger and the board. The other stuff, like I said, it's all public record. Any filings are in there. Any next dates that are coming up in those filings are going to be in the public record. So it's not like anything's hidden whatsoever.
So do we need a motion to establish that procedure, Wendy, or can that just be established and added to the onboard procedure?
I don't know that you need a motion for it. I
Yeah.
can just start doing it.
Yeah, we've been doing it all along, Mike. Becky and I have been doing it all along, so don't know that we need a motion. I just want direction, clear direction as to, that you want to do that.
Okay. I think, I don't want to ask for a vote, but I think the consensus is that everybody's pretty favorable in doing that. So I would ask that you go ahead and move forward with that. Any more questions or comments on that? Okay, Mr. Pro Tem, it's your term. I went right over the top of you again, like, oh.
I didn't do that. Who knows?
Anything new on this at all, on the UTV?
Oh, just other than what I commented to Ms. Shipper. That's all I have right now. Let's just say that I've got a speed bump, but it's a pretty big bump, I think. So it's going to take some time to knock it down. Or
Is there anything that any of us as committee members can do to help out?
not at this time. Not at this time. It's something that I need to get more direct information. It sounds like there's a possibility that maybe Torma is not understanding what our purpose is for this. And when they talk about this 35 mile an hour, that means that they don't understand the direction or which way we're heading that way. So I just need to educate them, and maybe they're going to educate me too. So we'll go from there.
Do we need to consider, and I think I've mentioned it in the past, and I'm not bringing it up to rub it in anybody's face, but would a group meeting at, townships have a meeting at one place and you as, head of the committee and a couple of other people, maybe some of us from the public safety board go out and help you, try and help,
Sure.
inform them?
Well,
I mean, I'm not trying to take over.
No, I understand. I appreciate the offer. Like I said, I think it's whoever's representing them has also talked to a couple other townships that have kind of bent my ear a little bit, and I got it bent this morning really, really good. So it looks like I'm going to have to reach out to that particular individual from Torma and sit down with them, whether I take Mr. Boonstra with me or not, or if I'm confident enough to handle it on my own without overstepping my boundaries, and maybe just get where he's coming from and he can get where I'm coming from. And then if we need to have a group after that, then I'll go from there.
Well, I think we're gonna be faced with pros and cons no matter
I agree. It's.
where we
this
go,
is-
what we do. And to me, it would be better, if you could get a group of them in each different quadrant of the county and say, okay, let's hear pros and cons. It's beneficial,
Right.
should be beneficial on both sides. And I'm willing to help participate in that if
The ear grab I got this morning was basically if we can get Torma on board, everyone will fall in line. So I've got one speed bump.
well, we'll just heat the asphalt and smooth the bump out. So
Sounds like we need some excavation equipment.
Jack, I don't have the background on this. Are you having trouble with a certain township or many townships or?
Torma,
Pardon?
Torma, the insurance for.
Townships
the
of,
Township.
Townships of Illinois Risk
Oh,
Management Association.
Okay, sorry.
And they were at the meeting yesterday where I believe most township road commissioners were.
Mhm.
And we were led to believe at Highway that you had been invited to that meeting.
Right.
So somebody dropped the ball somewhere.
Right. That could be one of the reasons why I'm not getting I've got a lot of townships, they're telling me, oh yeah, we're on board, but they're holding back for whatever reason, and I believe this might be one of the
Right, yeah.
reasons. So,
No, it's a shame you missed miscommunication.
well, is there any potential to invite whoever this opposition or this
yeah, I'm gonna reach out.
spokesperson is
I'm
to
gonna
come
find
in?
out who he is or who they are, and I'll try to have maybe lunch with them or something.
Well, I'm not trying to stir up, problems, but talk to everybody. I mean, everybody that's involved in this, pro or con, should be privy to the information. And I'm not directing that at you. I'm just saying that if they had a meeting yesterday, you're separating who you're inviting to these meetings.
Right.
How often do they have those meetings?
That was a special meeting.
It was a
year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an annual meeting with the Township Highway Road Commissioners.
And they had specifically invited Forma for the UTV reason. And again, we were led to believe at Highway that Jack had been invited. I think I even asked that question, didn't I, Mike?
Yeah.
But
So I'm disappointed that
I agree with your suggestion is to get Torma and get Jack and all the appropriate people in the same room. And if we can convince Torma it's okay and they've got to do some actuary work, so be it.
Well, I'm in favor of it if you can orchestrate that.
All right,
And
I'll,
there again, I'm not advocating trying to take over on anything. You're doing fine, but if you have some hurdles and you need, reinforcements, call us in.
all hands on deck. All right, I'll get with whomever and go from there.
I mean, I would like to hear what's going on myself. I mean, not that I
One
don't.
suggestion, and maybe you've already done this, Jack, is that if the hangup is Torma, the insurance company for the township, talk to some towns like Langlois or whoever, or Franklin Grove. We got UTVs and golf carts and crap running everywhere. You don't have to watch
Well,
out for them. I mean, we just got them everywhere.
The difference between the townships or the township roads, the county roads, and the villages and cities that have these in place, they are following that specific 35-mile-an-hour rule. We're going beyond that. So our definition of the UTV is different. So that way we're not necessarily bound by that 35-mile-an-hour. So that's why apparently Torma believes that what we're doing is these vehicles are illegally on the roadway. That's their position. So.
Okay, anybody have any more input on that or questions? Okay, I think we've got it. Oh, okay, we do have item B under new business. At this point, there's nothing really necessary to comment on unless Sheriff, you have anything specific you want to say about it, and that's dealing with the sheriff's salary consideration?
Yeah, it was a two-part discussion we were going to have. The first part has been, well, looks like it's going to be resolved. The House and the Senate passed a bill to put the sheriff's salary in statute. And if it's signed by the governor, that will take place on December 1st of 2022. And the way the bill is written right now, that'll be 80% of the current state's attorney's salary, respective to each county. The state will be responsible for 66 2/3 of that salary, and the county 33 1/3 if the governor signs the bill. And that's part one. That's the future concern I had with the sheriff's salary. And then at some point in time in the next couple of months, we'll have a discussion about what's currently happening.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
That's a statute that's coming along. That'll be a set 66 days. The state's attorney's salary.
No, 80% of the state's attorney's salary, the state will
They will
reimburse
reimburse.
monthly 66 2/3 if it is signed by the governor.
Mr. Nicholson, I placed an annotation on that. It should be on your onboard of that legislative scan. Okay. You see that?
I don't, and I didn't really look.
If you bring up,
But I think that's fair.
if you bring up the
Sheriff- The
PDF,
sheriffs always kind of got the raw end of the stick on this deal. They have a tremendous amount of responsibility, yet they're being paid less than a lot of other folks, especially in large communities.
Well, taking in the last 5-10 years consideration of what's happened to law enforcement out in the world of this, occupations, it's not a very easy profession to be in at all. Okay, any more comment on that at all? Questions?
Page 21. Yeah. We're done. Oh, I got it. I just. Oh, you got that? I got that. We're talking Jack with the statute.
Didn't come up with yours?
Any questions
It don't
coming up
matter.
with what you're looking at? Okay, all right. If not, Mr. Boonstra, anything under executive that we need to, okay. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mr. Zeman. Second, who got the second on that one? John? Okay, Mr. Hudson, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Stay here by yourself. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
It is. I'm not, it don't matter.